We kick things off with the sight of a boy who is assumed to be the hero of the story. He seems to be planning a trip to another world because he has a few missions to deal with. The boy was given 3 months on Earth, and he has been able to gather enough power to go back to his fantasy world. Today, he is going to open a portal and leave Japan for good so that he can go back to where he belongs. With that, our hero kicks off his new journey and also looks very excited to travel to this other world. He actually manages to get through the portal and reach the fantasy world with ease. This is a surreal moment for the boy as he can't believe that he is now away from Earth. He clenches his fists to make sure that he's not dreaming, and then he offers to give us some context. It turns out that 4 years ago, our hero was summoned to this fantasy world, which is called the Kingdom of Andagilia. He was brought here in order to defeat the Demon King, and he was able to complete his task after a heavy battle. However, instead of rewarding him with cute girls and huge mansions, our hero was sent back to Earth because the people of this kingdom wanted all the power to themselves. Now, he is back with a new passion, especially because he has attained an epic power that gives him the status of an ancient hero. We can see some thieves in front of him, so the boy decides to act fast. He wants to test out his powers, so he tries a spell that he's never tried before. The boy uses soil restriction and is able to control the soil of the ground to attack these thieves. Now, our hero proceeds to fight these men with his own bare hands, much to their surprise. He is able to take them down with ease. And then he proceeds to tell us why he wanted to stay back in this fantasy world. Basically, the main part about being a hero here is that you are always surrounded by cute girls who will serve you like slaves. As a matter of fact, our hero could choose the type of girl he wanted as well. There are elf girls, beast girls, and even demon girls for him to enjoy. The boy was able to live the life of a king when he was fighting the war against the demon lord, and he did not want it to stop. This is exactly why he did everything in his power to be able to come back to this fantasy world as a hero and make the most of the cute girls on offer. After he gets done with the thieves, the boy is thanked by an old man, who is very impressed by his skills. He is then given a ride in the old man's carriage and they have a chat about how he was able to make it in time to save him. Of course, the boy only wants to know where the kingdom is so that he can go and enjoy his harem because he was never interested in talking about heroes. The old man doesn't seem to know where Andagilia is, so the boy figures that he should not speak too much in front of him. He is simply guided to the Miller's kingdom and gets off at the nearest town, known as the City Towers. This is actually a good thing for our hero, because in his previous life, he was treated like a slave by the king of Andagilia. He did not have the freedom to go wherever he wanted till he defeated the demon lord, so it makes sense for him to touch base in a friendly city. The old man thanks the boy once again for his efforts and then leaves him alone. It is here where we finally learn that our hero's name is Amagi. He enters the guild of the town and finds a cute girl named Etna who is here to register him as an adventurer. She asks him for his name, but Amagi turns on his intrusive thoughts and starts flirting with Etna. He tells her that she can call him Haruto, and it confuses her, but she proceeds to get him registered anyway. After Amagi is done with the registration, he puts his head on Etna's lap to enjoy her curvy body. He is glad that he has completed the formalities, because he can now act on his intrusive thoughts and do unspeakable things to Etna. Of course, this is all just in his head. And the reality is that he is still filling the form in front of Etna. She asks him if he knows how to read and write, but he is a bit nervous because he doesn't speak the language of this world. Etna figures that it's Amagi's first time, so she decides to do all the work for him. In order to complete the registration, Amagi will need to answer all of Etna's questions, but she needs to know if he actually wants to become an adventurer. He says yes, so Etna asks him if he would like to learn reading and writing. He says that he will never be able to master the writing of this world, so Etna asks where Amagi was born. Our hero simply says that he comes from Mild Village, so the cute guild girl asks him about immersion for requests. There are many types that he can choose from, but Amagi needs to think calmly. He wonders if he should study from now, or just have someone who can read and write for him. It takes him some time, but eventually asks for requests to take down demons and escort people. Etna is impressed by Amagi's choice, because there are some good results in these fields. Of course, Amagi is not thinking about doing heroic things as his intrusive thoughts can only see Etna as a cute girl. She fills the form for our hero and then shows him a spot to place his thumbprint. Amagi takes a look at the form, but can't understand anything because Etna can't write that well either. He can only assume that the place where Etna is pointing is the thumbprint zone, so he does as she says and submits the form. Etna gives Amagi a smile and says that his guild card will be ready in a moment, so he just needs to wait for a bit. However, the sun is about to set soon, so Amagi also has to find a place to stay for the night before he can go ahead with his lodging. Etna comes to him with a request. To Amagi's surprise, her request seems to be a rather shady one as she wants him to serve her. Amagi starts to imagine all kinds of lewd things and his fantasy might actually come true, but then we see that it was nothing more than another one of his intrusive thoughts. Back to reality. Our hero asks Etna what kind of request she has for him, and it turns out that he needs to take care of some demons on the southern road. There also happens to be a hero from the royal capital who is currently at the target area. Amagi is surprised to hear this, but Etna maintains that there are goblins at the venue, so he will be needed over there. None of this matters to Amagi, because he only wants to know about the hero. He asks Etna for more clarity, and she is shocked that he is not aware of this hero. It turns out that the royal capital has chosen a user of the holy sword, and this person has become the new hero of the kingdom. Amagi is a bit confused by this because he was not given any holy sword back when he had beaten the Demon King. He becomes sad and gloomy, after which he asks Etna if a hero is really needed, especially after the end of the Demon Lord. Etna is shocked to hear this news from Amagi, because as per her information, the Demon Lord is still alive and well. She wants to know more about this, but Amagi quickly realizes that something shady is going on in the kingdom. He just shrugs it off as something that he heard from a child who has now gone away. Etna says that if the Demon Lord was actually beaten, then it would have been news everywhere. That's right. So Amagi tells her that it just must have been a case of fake news. So there's no need to think so much about what he said. Amagi wonders how this could be possible, because he did defeat the Demon King with his own hands. This leads him to consider that there could be more than one Demon Lord. As a matter of fact, it looks like there is a Demon King in each country for the humans to handle. Etna asks Amagi if he's understood the request, so he snaps back to his senses and accepts the task. She is glad to hear this and thanks Amagi for accepting the task, because even though the hero is a member of the guild, it is not good to be alone when fighting demons. It would actually be a relief for her if Amagi were to help with the task. But our hero gets shocked when he looks at a map. It doesn't make any sense to him, because Andagulia is not on it. He asks Etna why there is no sign of the kingdom, but she is just as clueless as he is. Etna does not seem to recognize the name of the place Amagi is talking about, so it could mean that he has traveled to the wrong world. The map is totally different from what Amagi had seen when he was here before, and the look on his face makes Etna a bit worried as well. She asks if all is fine, but it looks like Amagi has found himself in the wrong kingdom. There's no point in crying over spilled milk, so our hero gets a room so that he can rest during the night. He makes sure to ask Etna about nearby gun shops before he gets his room, but the most important thing is that he is not where he had thought he was going. As a matter of fact, the language of this place is also very different from what he had seen before. This means that Etna's writing was not bad at all, but rather in a different language. Amagi doesn't know what to do anymore, so he goes to sleep, hoping to wake up with more clarity. The morning arrives, but our hero is still clueless about his next course of action. He can only imagine the fantasies he was living out in his past life where he could wake up with 2 cute girls every day. However, that is not his life here, so he needs to get to work quickly. Amagi meets the inn owner, whose name is Ka-chan. He asks our hero if he had a good night's sleep, and he says that the bed was amazing. After enjoying a nice breakfast, Amagi decides to take some of the food with him as he sets out for work. On his way out, Amagi does some quick calculations on the amount of money he would need to survive in this world. He spends around 1,000 of the local currency per night at the inn, and that too without any food. On top of that, the short sword that he bought costed him about 30,000 of the local currency. The only good thing here is that he is able to reach his place of work simply by walking, and he is also 30 minutes before time. Amagi thinks that he is a strong boy with charm, so he should be able to have his way in this world as well. More than 10 minutes have passed since his arrival, and now the door slowly opens. Amagi thinks about how can get Etna to do lewd things with him. But it turns out that the person entering through the door is actually Etna herself. She calls out to her friend Sharon, who walks in with a raging passion and calls out to Etna, asking her to treat her well today. Our hero is pleased to hear such words, but Etna would prefer it if she did not speak so loudly. Amagi's intrusive thoughts start to take over, as he now has 2 cute girls standing right in front of him. He is surely thinking of some unspeakable acts, but he gets interrupted when Etna introduces him to Sharon. It turns out that she is an adventurer. Just like him, she goes on to tell Sharon the same thing, and the two of them make their introductions. Amagi wants to flex in front of Sharon, so he tells her that he defeated 5 bandits the other day, and is also able to use magic. As expected, this works wonders on Sharon because she likes these skills a lot. She goes on to tell Amagi that she already respects him for his powers, so it looks like they've started off on the right track. Etna tells Amagi that she didn't want him to become lonely after leaving her for the quest, so she made sure to get Sharon to join him. Sharon has a strong look, and even though she is a rookie, our hero is fine to go with her. For some reason, Sharon panics and bows down to Amagi, after which he also does something silly by saying he's fine, even though she never asked him that question. Now, the new couple decides to take a look at the map. and they see that the goblins have lined up right outside the city's walls. Sharon is excited to step out on her journey, but she keeps referring to Amagi with respect, which he doesn't want her to do. He says that she can call him Haruko, which is the exact same thing he had said to Etna while flirting with her. He tells Sharon that this is his order, so she obediently obeys his commands almost as if she is his slave girl. Now, we shift to the battle scene where the goblins are wreaking havoc. Sharon uses her skills and is able to take down a few of the goblins with her sword. She is pleased by her progress, and even Amagi says that she's not bad for a girl who's fighting for the first time. Our hero has taken down way too many goblins to even count, but he notices that Sharon is a bit dirty after her attack. He offers her a napkin so that she can clean all the germs off her curvy body. Sharon can be seen blushing for a bit, but then she takes the napkin to wipe her face. Amagi wishes that he could use his healing magic on Sharon, but it won't be possible under the current scenario. He offers to continue fighting the goblins after taking a little break, and Sharon is more than fine with it. She is actually happy to be fighting with Amagi because he is a great warrior with amazing skills. He was able to take down so many goblins with ease, and even lead her through the forest, so it looks like Sharon already has a crush on him. Our hero is not going to let this chance slide, so he tells Sharon that it was easy for him to do this because she is very talented herself. She starts to blush, but doesn't want to show it, so she puts up a fake smile in front of Amagi, even though he knows what she is doing here. Now, Amagi asks Sharon why she's doing this goblin quest if it's not so easy for her. As a matter of fact, she was barely able to get much done and is already tired. To this, Sharon says that she opted for the mission because the hero had requested help for it. Basically, she wants to help the hero, since he travels around the world and fights the Demon Kings. Sharon had also promised her grandma that she would do her best to help those in need, so here she is. Of course, Amagi knows the truth of the hero, because he was also in his place till only a few months ago. He is aware that the hero is just a puppet to get the job done, so helping such a man would not be very important. As a matter of fact, he can't recall if he had someone like Sharon to help him out during his own epic battles. Anyway, he doesn't want to add any drama to the moment, because Sharon is done resting and is raring to go. With that, even Amagi says that they should continue with their mission. However, it's at this very moment that they hear a loud noise and wonder what it could be. The both of them turn around and they find a giant foot right in front of them. What's worse is that the giant foot belongs to a giant beast. Amagi is a bit shocked to see such an overpowered beast in front of him, and he is confused as to why he wasn't able to sense him till now. As a matter of fact, it feels as if this beast was born right here, right now, in front of Amagi and Sharon. There's no time to stop and think about reasons, because the monster attacks our hero without mercy. Of course, Amagi is able to stop him, and things look like they're about to get very interesting. However, the beast is shown to be very powerful as it lands another blow on Amagi, and he's barely able to block it this time. Our hero falls to the ground, but he didn't take a direct hit, so he can still get up. He's glad to be alive, but also knows that Sharon would not have been able to survive such a blow. He looks to his right and sees the cute fighter girl on the ground, but shocked with feet. She is almost frozen by the sight of the beast and is unable to move, even as it closes in on her. Amagi isn't going to lose his harem girl just yet, so he forces her to get up if she wants to survive. This motivates her well enough to get off the ground, but she also hugs our hero, who looks like he's now become Sharon's new lover boy. Their romantic moment comes to a halt when Sharon alerts Amagi that the giant monster is charging at him. Our hero is taken by surprise, and things don't look very good for him, but he manages to turn the tables and launch an ultimate kick attack. It's a tough strike, but Amagi manages to gain the upper hand and he sends the beast flying away like a little toy. This is the deciding moment in the battle, so Amagi tells Sharon to back down and lay low for a bit. She doesn't want to leave him alone, but our hero doesn't have time for this kind of chat. He tells Sharon that even if she decides to stay with him right now, she won't be able to help our hero. So, it would be best if Sharon took cover for a bit in order for her to be at a safe distance. After hearing it like this, Sharon figures that she should let Amagi do his thing for now. She walks away from the scene, which means that Amagi can finish off the beast in epic fashion. He walks up to the wounded monster and feels that he should just use a finisher move, because Sharon is safe and can't be harmed. He just needs to clean up the mess over here, so he raises his hand and prepares to use a spell. It happens to be called Restraint, which means that Amagi is going to use ropes and other such tools to keep the monster stuck to one place. His skills are quite impressive as the beast roars in pain while the ropes pass through his body. Now that he doesn't have to worry about any sudden movements, Amagi jumps into the air with his sword and launches a brutal attack on the giant monster. He lands a nice strike right on the chest, but the beast seems to have survived the blow. Amagi takes a look at his sword and realizes that his opponent has great power. However, he's not one to back down from a challenge, so he takes the fight to the beast. Amagi proceeds to unleash a flurry of blows that are just as deadly as they are swift. Seeing his strength reminds our hero of the time he was at his peak level. The sword strikes continue to land on the monster without any mercy, and it doesn't look like he's going to hold out for much longer. The beast did manage to put up a decent fight, but now it drops to the ground, completely beaten and devoid of life. Amagi is certain that he is the winner, but then a sudden surge of energy enters the area. It's a surprise attack from behind that lands directly on the monster's body. It causes a deadly explosion, and Amagi is confused as to where this attack came from. After the fire fades away, our hero can see that the monster's body has been reduced to nothing but burnt ash. It's quite an amazing sight. So Amagi wants to know where the energy ball came from that did this to such a tough monster. As he tries to figure who can possess such powerful magic, he hears someone calling out to him to ask if he's alright. A night boy shows up, looking dashing and confident in his armor and sword. He says that he could sense a lot of intense magic, which was why he chose to rush here as soon as possible. Amagi is also taken aback by the boy's looks, but wants to know who he is, so he asks for his name. The boy realizes that he's being rude by not stating his identity, so he says he's Rian Van Roll, simply known as Rian. Now, Amagi introduces himself and also calls out to Sharon, so that he can tell Rian that she is with him. Rian is pleased to see such a cute girl, so he asks her if she's fine. The night boy is very handsome, so Sharon is almost speechless and can barely say her own name, let alone talk about the state of her body. As she thanks Rian for his fireball, Amagi sees something that he should not have seen, and it makes him feel awkward. Now, someone else calls out to Rian and rushes towards him, hoping that he is alright. This man is also a knight and his name is Unicrum, so it looks like Rian had support with him all this time. Unicrum is upset with Rian for just randomly running away, because they need to stick together and fight anything that comes their way. Of course, there is no danger to worry about here, since Amagi defeated the monster and Rian burnt its body. However, our hero can't get over the fact that Unicrum is just as handsome as Rian, so he wonders where these night boys are coming from. He takes a look at the beast's burnt body, and is amazed to see how damaged it is. Rian asks Unicrum if he had noticed any strange magic powers, because that was the main reason why he came running over here. Unicrum mocks his partner by saying he was 3 kilometers away from the scene, unlike Rian, who had simply rushed to the scene without even thinking about his health. Amagi knows it's best to keep his mouth shut, because revealing his powers at this stage will only do more harm than good. Now, Rian introduces our hero and Sharon to Unicrum and says that they should escort them to the town for safety reasons. Rian wants to take the highway, because that's where a lot of other people are also going. He seems to have taken an interest in Sharon, so he asks her if she would like to come with him. Amagi is not just going to stand there and let someone else flirt with his girl, so he gets in front of Sharon and tells Rian that they need to be on their own way, so an escort will not be needed. However, Rian insists on being there for protection, because there's a good chance that some other beast might attack Amagi and Sharon. Of course, our hero was the one who beat this monster with ease, but he can't risk exposing himself just yet. Rian seems full of passion, but Unicrum tells him to calm down, because Amagi and Sharon must have their own reasons for moving on a different path. Rian realizes that he was being rude once again, so he says sorry to Amagi and Sharon. He does ask the both of them to inform him once they're in town, but our hero tells him that he will be doing that anyway since he's an adventurer. As a matter of fact, he is going to report everything that happened to the guild. With that, the dashing night boys leave the scene, and Amagi finds a chance to tease Sharon for feeling lewd things in their presence. He asks her if she needs to change her clothes, and that's when she realizes that she has given away her position on the night boys. Sharon says that she doesn't have any extra clothes, so this would be a nice chance for Amagi to awaken the beast within. However, he keeps his intrusive thoughts away from his mind and uses his magic to create a fresh piece of cloth. He gives this to Sharon so that she can clean herself for now. The cute fighter girl is amazed that her partner can use his magic even for such things. But what she really wants to know is how he was able to summon this piece of cloth without even chanting anything. Amagi is not going to let out his secrets just yet, so he simply asks Sharon to focus on the cleaning for now. She asks him not to peek at her, so our hero says that he won't do such a thing. Amaga's thoughts might be shady, but he is a man of culture, so he keeps his word and looks away. However, Sharon still feels bad because what has happened to her could not be avoided. She asks Amagi to wait for her and also thanks him for helping her out in this awkward situation. After all, it would have been a bit embarrassing if she had gone in a compromised state with those 2 night boys. Amagi assumes that Sharon is in this situation because of something that he did, but she blushes and says that it was because of the giant monster. She is upset with Amagi for being naughty, so he accepts that he might have spoken without thinking. Sharon actually wanted to be nicer to our hero, but she has realized that he has shady intentions, so a simple thank you is all that she can offer. The main thing that needs to be discussed though is the monster that Amagi just defeated. Sharon wants to know how such a beast can even exist. But even our hero is at a loss for words because he has never come across such a monster before. It is true that some monsters can become more overpowered after a certain period of time. But even if we take that into consideration, this beast was a total freak of nature. Amagi decides it's time to use his genius brain. But the only thing that comes to his mind is the possibility of a necromancer using his powers to revive a deceased beast. However, if that was the case, then the monster would be all bones and no flesh. He looks at the body closely to see if he can find any clues. And that's when he notices that the beast does not have any ears. This is a bit odd, because all the goblins that were beaten earlier seem to have sharp, pointed ears. It's safe to say that the monster was not a boss-level goblin. But then Amagi comes across some skeletons as well. This looks very shady, so he wants to investigate some more. But Sharon asks him not to waste his time with this because they need to reach the guild. Our hero leaves the mysterious skeletons for now, and then we see him and Sharon at the town nearby. She says that she will go to the guild to file the report on the goblins, so Amagi tells her to do as she pleases. It looks like Sharon wants to ask him something, but is too shy to mention it out loud. Amagi realizes that it's about the awkward position she had found herself in earlier, so he switches to a gentleman and says that he will not mention anything about her to the guild. This can be their little secret, so Sharon can breathe a huge sigh of relief. She thanks her partner and even calls him kind, which is good for Amagi because he does want to make Sharon a part of his harem. Now, Etna reads the guild report and says that she will take this to the concerned people. Amagi wants to talk about the goblins and the skeletons, but Etna says that the report is now complete. It's a bit odd for our hero to hear this, because he hasn't even said anything yet. Etna simply says that the hero has safely returned, and that's all that matters, so this is the end of the report for her. She also promises Amagi that he will be paid a lot of reward money for his efforts. This kind of behavior is very confusing to our hero, so he grabs his head and wonders what is going on. One thing's for sure, and that's the fact that he's definitely in a different world. Anyway, there's no time to worry about such things, because Amagi needs to prepare himself for all the surprises that are yet to come. The next day, Sharon asks him to train her how to fight the way he does. Our hero is more than happy to do this for her, because he has other plans in mind. Sharon gives it her best shot and actually does well in trying to land a blow on Amagi. However, he is just too good for her and even does shady things while dodging her blows. Our hero comments that Sharon has soft skin, which would normally make a girl happy, but Sharon thinks he's a jerk for the way he's teasing her. Of course, these shady actions make Amagi very happy, so he doesn't mind if he loses the odd gold coin for his intrusive thoughts. He continues to tease Sharon throughout their training exercise, but she is not able to even touch him once. As a result, Amagi continues to act shady, and Sharon is forced to admit defeat. She falls to the ground completely devoid of energy, and our hero gladly says that he's a very lucky man. Sharon calls him creepy, but also concedes that he is her master. As far as Amagi is concerned, he's just glad that he can keep teasing Sharon because he just can't help himself. There's nothing that Sharon can do about it, so she continues to rest and says that she can't wait for the day she finally gets to smash his face for good. This actually reminds Amagi that today is the day when the hero will be coming to town. Sharon is also excited for this, because the city has been preparing for the hero's arrival with a lot of anticipation. Amagi, though, decides that he will go to the guild to pick up a new request. He asks Sharon what she's planning to do, but takes a moment to think of her response. In a surprising twist, she says that she will go back to the inn and will see Amagi later. Our hero is a bit confused by this, but figures that he should go to Etna and have a chat with her at the guild. On his way, he finds a girl lying on the streets, complaining that she can't eat anymore. He has no idea what's going on, because he doesn't know what this cute girl has already eaten. She says that she might just throw up, but Amagi is not in a position to help her. On top of that, this girl shows our hero something which he should not see, and he tries to keep his emotions under control. Amagi worries that it won't be long before his intrusive thoughts take over and make him do unspeakable things. However, he does realize that he needs to help this girl. Otherwise, she might end up with the wrong person. Amagi decides to tap the girl on her head in an effort to wake her up. He tells her that she should try to sleep at home even though she has eaten too much for her tummy to handle. Suddenly, the girl wakes up and takes a good look at our hero. She takes a moment to respond, but obviously doesn't recognize him, so she asks what he's doing here. This makes Amagi a bit conscious, because this girl might just be one of those legal Lolita characters. The girl takes an interest in Amagi and checks him out with intent. He feels a bit awkward, so he says that he was just passing by and offered to help. She doesn't seem to know where she came from, so it leads Amagi to wonder what's up with her. This girl might be cute, but she can't recall how she got here or what she ate, so Amagi thinks that she is a fool. The girl decides she might as well ask a direct question and tries to find out if the hero is actually coming to town today. Amagi confirms this, so the girl figures that the town is lively because of this reason. She is really looking forward to the festival, but she also has a smirk on her face, which means that she could be a shady girl after all. The girl has all the information she needs, so she leaves Amagi and runs away from the scene. Our hero has no idea what just went down, but he does admit that the girl was really cute. Now, Sharon comes back to Amagi and shows him her new outfit. She says that Etna had chosen the clothes for her, so Amagi says that she looks really cute in them. Sharon has never worn anything like this before, so she thanks our hero for his kind words. Amagi likes seeing Sharon like this because she looks even cuter than before. As a matter of fact, he even thinks about holding her hand to be a little more romantic. He decides to shoot his shot, but before he can make his move, Sharon walks ahead because she wants to catch the festival celebrations as soon as she can. It leads to an awkward moment for our hero, but then we see the actual hero of the kingdom making his arrival. In a surprising turn of events, we learn that Rian is the current hero of this world, and even though Amagi gets it, Sharon is a bit slow to pick up on it. Amagi is more interested in the cute girls that are a part of Rian's harem, and they seem to have very curvy bodies. This offends our hero, because back when he had saved the world, his girls were not as curvy as these ones. Of course, it can't be helped because this is not the same world, so Amagi just has to live with it. Now, the crowd becomes excited, so the people start pushing each other, and it makes Sharon feel uneasy. She holds on to her master for support, and Amagi sees this as a chance to finally have his way with her. However, before he can do the deed, he hears a girl calling out to the hero. She is able to fly, but is not able to identify who the hero is, which makes Amagi realize that it's the same girl he had seen before on the ground. She shows herself in all her glory and reveals that she is actually a demon girl named Lori. Of course, nobody is going to react to a cute girl claiming that she is a demon, so Lori doesn't get the experience that she was hoping for. Amagi can only look on in baffled disappointment while Sharon asks him who this girl is. Lori throws a hissy fit because no one in the crowd is afraid of her or what she might do. It only makes her look cute rather than dangerous. So she has no choice but to make things interesting. Rian decides to find out what the fuss is about, so he reveals his identity and asks the demon girl why she has come here. Lori is glad to finally see who her target is, but Amagi looks at her and wonders if all is well in her head. After all, it's hard to say what's going on in that big empty skull of hers. Without further ado, Lori tells Rian that she has come here to duel with him. Rian accepts her challenge because it's his duty, but he mentions that he can't fight over since the town is full of people. He suggests going to a more open space where both he and Lori can go all out against each other. The demon girl has no problem with this, so she asks Rian to lead the way. Amagi doesn't want to miss out on this, so he decides to follow Rian as well. Sharon also wants to join her master, but he tells her that she needs to change into different clothes because she doesn't have any weapons on her right now. Sharon realizes that her master is right, so she says she'll change her outfit. Now, we move to the open battleground in the middle of the forest, and Lori gets ready to show off her powers. Before they begin, she asks Rian how he wishes to fight her, and if his harem girls will also join in on the battle. Rian draws out his sword and says that he will fight fair and square since this is a duel. With that, he takes a battle stance and tells the demon girl that he is more than enough to deal with her. Of course, Unicrum is also here, and he tells his leader that he will join in if the going gets tough. Rian is fine with that. And even Lori comments that things will get dangerous very soon, so Unicrum will need to be ready to help out the kingdom's hero. With that, both Lori and Rian call out their own names and kick off the duel in intense fashion. The handsome hero decides to strike first with his holy sword, but Lori seems to have anticipated this, and she uses a wind barrier to protect herself. She is able to block the attack with ease, and Rian realizes that he is not up against a silly girl. Even Amagi and Sharon are impressed by Lori's powers, because she does seem to have decent skills. Amagi figures that Lori might be a high demon, since she is able to keep up the barrier against Rian. The handsome hero keeps trying to break through the shield with his holy sword, but it is of no use, as Lori is too strong for that. The smile on her face suggests that the demon girl wants Rian to keep wasting his strength this way, and even Amagi comments that the hero is having a hard time against his opponent. He also decides to explain the difference between a high demon and a normal demon. The main difference is that high demons look like humans and can use magic as well, but when it comes to normal demons, they look more like beasts and are only strong in physical terms. Another important thing is that high demons can be independent and they make normal demons their slaves. The normal demons can only come together as a group, similar to how Amagi and Sharon had to face off against the goblins earlier. It goes without saying that high demons have a totally different power level when compared to normal demons, and we see it in action right now. Rian has had enough of the barrier nonsense, so he calls upon the power of his holy sword. Lori figures that he's using some kind of magic, so she prepares herself for the blow. Rion goes on to unleash a vicious blast from his holy sword, and he strikes Lori with everything he's got. However, Lori is able to strike down the holy blast with just one blow, which goes on to show just how overpowered she is as a high demon. Rion is at a loss for words, and even Amagi starts to wonder how strong the demon girl really is. Lori looks bored, so she mocks Rion by asking if this is all he's got. Sharon worries for Rion and asks her master what's going to happen next. Amagi can't give her an answer because even he doesn't know how this is going to turn out. The handsome hero looks out of sorts against Lori, so Sharon can only hope that he will be okay. Lori decides to have some more fun, so she tells Rion that he is a hero, so he only shows off his powers for the sake of an audience. This takes him by surprise, but Lori's real intentions are much more sinister. She says that she will take down all of Rion's comrades to see if that will help awaken his true powers. This also includes his harem girls and their curvy bodies, so Rion is risking it all over here. With that, the demon girl kicks things off by attacking Unicrum, and she is able to crack his armor with just one blow. It causes him to fall to the ground while Rion looks on in horror and calls out to his friend. The handsome hero gets angry, so he charges at Lori with more energy. She is impressed to see that he's finally getting stronger, but even this isn't enough for her, so she decides to go after the cute harem girls next. The demon girl says that she's just getting started, so it enrages Rion more than ever. He attacks Lori with his sword once again, and we learn that his harem girls are called Aura and Caroline. He loves these girls and their curvy bodies, so he can't let Lori harm them the same way she harmed Unicrum. Of course, the demon girl just uses her barrier once again, which allows her to protect herself from the holy sword. She is actually amused to hear the names of these girls and proceeds to mock Rion a bit more. She says that only a shady man likes to keep himself close to curvy girls, and it angers the handsome hero even further. He obviously doesn't want his girls to be harmed, but even Amagi is not impressed by Rion's performance. He states that Rion is quite weak for a hero, because he gets angry way too easily, and it leads to silly decisions. He is glad that he is nothing like Rion, because he considers himself to be mature and smart. Now, Lori decides to use a Roaring Blast spell on Rion, and she knocks him down with just one move. The handsome hero falls to the ground, and his harem girls try to help him up. It's a rather sorry display as the demon girl mocks Rion for having lost so easily to her. Lori did not expect Rion to be so weak, but then she notices that Amagi is also here. She recognizes him as the boy she had met earlier, but our hero is not impressed by her behavior. He does admit, though, that he never imagined Lori would be a high demon. As a matter of fact, he believes that it was fate that led them to bump into each other again. We can see that Unicrum has survived the attack, but he and Rion are quite badly injured, so it doesn't look like they can fight anymore. Amagi asks Lori to wrap it up and go home for today, but the demon girl is still not satisfied with the way things have gone. She wants to bring out the hero's real strength, so she figures that she can attack Amagi to trigger Rion. Lori proceeds to attack him, hoping to finally get Rion to react, but to her surprise, Amagi is able to fend off her blow with ease. He then tells Sharon to step away because this might get dangerous. He then draws out his own sword and challenges Lori to fight him. After all, he is much more powerful than Rion, so this will be a better fight. However, our hero is not sure if he can beat the demon girl all by himself because he doesn't know what her true potential is. Anyway, he has to try, so he whispers a spell and uses Ice Bind on her. Lori finds his spell interesting but says that it won't be enough to take her down. Luckily, Amagi is quick to act on his plan, and he strikes her with his sword. The demon girl is able to bring out her barrier just in the nick of time, but she struggles to hold her own against our hero. As a matter of fact, it doesn't take long for Amagi to crack the barrier with his sword, and it makes Lori panic. Then, he manages to destroy her shield all by himself, and then he attacks the demon girl directly. Lori manages to grab his sword, but she isn't able to hold onto it for long. She is visibly struggling against Amagi while he simply looks her straight in the eye like a true alpha male. The advantage is clearly with our hero, and even the people in attendance are amazed to see how strong he is. The demon girl also can't help but concede that Amagi is way too overpowered for her liking. Of course, he has a lot more to offer, as he is able to summon vines from under the soil to trap Lori. She is amazed and shocked to see this, because Amagi has just used silent magic on her. The demon girl is trapped with nowhere else to go, so our hero decides to use a slash move on her to assert his dominance. This move seems to have a strong effect, as can be seen on Lori's face. It turns out that Amagi has chopped down her arm, so he is totally dominating the demon girl with ease. Of course, our hero knows that Lori is a high demon, so her wounds will be healed in a few hours. However, she can't use her hand for now, which means that she won't be able to use any spells on him. In that case, Amagi figures it would be best to take her down at this very moment, so he launches a flurry of attacks on his opponent. It looks like he's going to send Lori back to where she came from, but then she begs him for mercy, much to his surprise. The demon girl openly states that she has been defeated and she surrenders herself to Amagi in rather cute fashion. Our hero wants to confirm what Lori has just said, so she repeats that she has lost the fight and wants him to spare her life. The demon girl even points to her fallen off arm and says that she can't carry on without it. On top of that, her other arm is badly wounded as well, so there's no chance for her to fight Amagi anymore. On top of that, she also scolds our hero for going so hard on a delicate maiden like her. This obviously makes Amagi wonder if she's mocking him, but Lori admits that he is way too strong for her. Anyway, it's been a while since Lori had this much fun, so she likes our hero. Amagi also says that a lot of weird things have happened to him as well, but unlike Lori, he wasn't too impressed with their battle. After all, he won with a lot of ease, so Lori finds it strange that he didn't have any fun during their fight. Anyway, she is quite happy to have been beaten so badly because it's a good feeling. The demon girl was looking for someone who was stronger than her, and she thought Rion could have been that man, but he was obviously too weak. Luckily, Lori has now come across Amagi, and she even goes on to say that she has fallen in love with him. Lori also says that she vows to be by his side forever, so he should consider himself lucky for the honor. It takes our hero a moment to register what the demon girl has just said to him, and that's when he realizes that he's found himself in a tricky spot. As a matter of fact, Lori even follows Amagi to his bed and kicks him off after getting too comfortable. It's a hilarious sequence that our hero gets annoyed by, because he's the one who should be on the bed. Of course, he didn't like the way Lori looked when she had one arm cut off and the other badly wounded. But he did get caught off guard when the demon girl said that she had fallen in love with him. His intrusive thoughts take over, so he teases Lori while she's sleeping peacefully. Amagi figures that Lori is very cute, so he can take her into his harem, as he had anyway planned to keep a spot open for a high demon. We learn that Rion and his team were not too happy with Amagi getting a demon girl as his new slave, but our hero managed to convince them to change their minds. Of course, it's not like Rion could have done anything about it, because the difference in power was way too much for him. The handsome hero simply said that he had no say in this deal, so Amagi and Lori become a new couple. The demon girl does admit that she was heavily disappointed in Rion, but this is still a good outcome for her. In the middle of all this, Sharon is shown to be jealous because Amagi now has a new girl to play with. Our hero notices this, so he decides to tease her about it, but takes it a bit too far. Sharon smacks him down, which impresses Lori, because if she was able to do this with just one blow, then it means that she's more powerful than our hero. Of course, that is not the case, but the demon girl proceeds to show some love to Sharon. Amagi watches on as Sharon gets creeped out by Lori, and he realizes that the demon girl is quite young for her powers. She should at least be a few hundred years old because that's how fantasy world ages work. We learn that Lori doesn't have any parents or close relatives, as she only remembers waking up all alone in the southern forest. Since then, she has been making herself strong by fighting all the demons that live in the forest. When she finally came to the town, she learned of a powerful man known as the hero. So, in order to assess his skills, she transferred some of her own power to one of the demons in the forest. This explains the giant monster that Amagi had defeated earlier. Of course, since the monster was beaten with such ease, it made her think that the hero had beaten it, which led her to believe that Rion was a really strong man. It all starts to make sense to Amagi, and he is glad that he finally knows why he ran into the giant monster. However, can he really trust this demon girl? Also, is Sharon fine with her master getting another cute girl for his harem? Our hero Amagi now turns his attention to the sleeping demon girl, and his intrusive thoughts run wild as he sees her completely defenseless in her current state. He can't fight his shady intentions anymore, so he figures it won't hurt to just peek for a little bit. He proceeds towards his destination, as he believes that Lori has fallen in love with him, so it shouldn't be a problem. However, just as he lifts her skirt, the demon girl wakes up and looks at our hero in a rather hilarious position. She asks him what he's doing, but Amagi really has no answer that can save him now. Lori even calls him out by saying he had claimed not to be attracted to girls like her, especially since she has one arm now. The demon girl has figured that her master was trying to shady things to her while she was asleep, so she calls him a creep. Of course, Amagi is embarrassed, But then Lori tells him that it's fine because she has already decided to become his slave girl. She proceeds to shove her master's face into her twin peaks and declares that he can do whatever he likes to her whenever he likes. Such words affect him seriously, because even though it was his intention to build a harem and do things like this, he can't believe that such a situation is actually happening. Amagi decides not to hide his inner demons anymore, and he proceeds to seal the deal with Lori. However, just as things are about to get intense, the doorknob moves in front of them and Sharon walks in on the scene. She looks at our hero and asks him what he's doing up so early in the morning. It's already time for his training session, so he needs to get ready quickly. But Sharon doesn't seem to point out the fact that Amagi and Lori were about to do unspeakable things to each other. Anyway, the demon girl just thinks of her as weird as does Amagi. But he also comments that Sharon is cute. Now, we are out on the beach where Lori and Sharon are training with each other, while Amagi watches from a distance. At first, it looks like the demon girl is about to grab something, but then she performs a spell on Sharon. She seems to feeling something really intense and amazing, and she also comments that she can feel it going inside her. Of course, such words can only mean one thing to Amagi, but he has to remind himself that this is a training session meant to strengthen Sharon's skills. However, there's only so much that he can do when he's hearing such suggestive words coming from a girl as cute and curvy as Sharon. He tries to calm himself down because this is supposed to be wholesome, not shady. Now that Lori is done with her spell, she asks Sharon to move around and test her new skills. We can see that she has indeed become a much better fighter as she can move faster and also strike with a lot more force now. Amagi decides to check out her stats, and he can see that they have increased by a lot. Sharon is excited to have achieved this new level of power, and she thanks Laura for it because she would not have been able to do this on her own. The girls hug each other sweetly, and we can see that Lori has grown back her arm as well, so all is well. On the sidelines, Amagi complains that Lori has been able to do so much with Sharon within just a day of training. It makes him want to wish for all the time that he spent training Sharon to come back. After all, the magical strength that she has been given is equal to the power of a hero. Normally, it would take years of training and hard work to reach such a level of mastery, and Amagi knows this because he had gone through this process when he first became a hero. In the middle of his thoughts, Amagi gets challenged by Sharon to a match as she is feeling confident in herself. She seems to be very keen on this, but the look on her face is a bit scary, so even Amagi wonders if he should go for it. Of course, he remembers that he's a man, so he needs to live up to a certain standard. He accepts the challenge and tells her to bring it on. But he also has shady thoughts in his mind because he can't seem to shake them off. It only takes 10 minutes later for us to see Amagi activating his shady mode as he holds on to Sharon's twin peaks with deadly desire. He laughs at her and says that she still has a lot to learn, while she laments the fact that she can't beat him no matter what. Sharon cries like a little girl and looks cute while she's at it. But Lori comments that she did put up a decent fight. She even says that Sharon may be able to beat Amagi if she trains a bit more. And our hero finds her statement a bit scary, because even he is not at full power right now. The demon girl now goes to her master and asks him to act shady with her again, but he says that he can't do such a thing as her arm has grown back. He could risk damaging it again, so he tells her that they can spar some other time. Our hero now realizes that he has taught Lori completely silent magic, which is confusing for most people. However, it is actually a common misconception that magic requires chanting. The demon girl does have trouble getting used to not saying anything while casting a spell, but there's something else that has piqued Amagi's interest. He asks her how she was able to carry out the magic transfer that she just did right now, because he has not seen anything like it before. The demon girl thinks for a bit, but then she says that she has no idea about it, which does not help our hero at all. Now, Amagi thinks back to the last time he had gone to the beach, which was during a school field trip back on Earth. The girls ask him if there was any specific reason for them to come to the beach today. Sharon wonders if there is some kind of special training involved, but that's not the case with Amagi. He simply says that there is only one thing to do at the beach during summertime, and then he takes off his clothes. This naturally seems shady, but then our hero says that he is going for a swim in the ocean. Sharon is a bit taken away to see Amagi like this, but Lori tells her that it's only natural to take one's clothes off before going for a swim. Amagi stands there and strikes a pose, but Sharon tells him that she does not have her swimsuit right now. However, our hero counters by saying she did not ask him what to bring along with her. He also points out that there's no need for her to worry because there is no one else over here. Basically, Sharon will not have anyone else peeking at her body, but she says that the real problem over here is Amagi. He smiles at her and admits in his mind that his eyes are indeed the biggest threat to Sharon right now. Now he turns to Lori and tells her that since they are swimming, they won't need any clothes. The demon girl thinks to herself for a minute, and then she says that Amagi is making sense, even though she does not know how to swim. Sharon wants to stop her, but it's too late as Lori takes off her top and says that she has no problem with Amagi sneaking a peek for as long as he wants. Sharon asks her not to reveal her twin peaks, but the demon girl counters by saying that Amagi is shirtless, so even she should be the same way. Sharon tries to argue that boys and girls are different, but Lori goes on to say that she is fine to even show it all. Now she asks Sharon what she is going to do about it, and we can see Amagi standing there like a proud mentor. With no other choice, Sharon also decides to give in, and she proceeds to undress with our hero watching. He states that it's quite easy to get her to do anything by using peer pressure, and then he gets a good view of her curvy body. Sharon calls him out for staring at her like a creep, but such words have no effect on Amagi. He continues to enjoy the view, even as Lori calls out to him from behind, as he is being inconsiderate by leaving her alone. Sharon takes Lori with her and mocks Amagi's lewd nature while she's at it. She even throws him a flirty wink as both the girls get into the water, so Amagi says that he wants to join them. Sharon scolds him and says that he should just swim on his own, but Lori laughs and says that she should not say such things. After all, Amagi is a man, so it is only natural for him to get excited upon seeing two girls like this. If there is a man who does not feel this way, then they deserve to pass away in the most painful way possible. The demon girl really has some shady thoughts in her head, and then she even mentions how Amagi had tried to get shady with her while she was sleeping. Sharon can't believe that our hero would do such a thing, but Lori says that she was only acting at the time. Amagi just wants the girls to stop with their banter, and then we see our hero chilling nicely by the beach while both his harem girls hug him. Now that all the fun and games are done with, the triple couple heads towards the guild to meet the cute reception girl Etna. She welcomes our hero back with a smile on her face, and she says that she was waiting for his return. Of course, this makes Amagi's intrusive thoughts run wild, but Sharon doesn't seem to like such statements. Our hero wonders if Edna actually wanted to see him that bad. But then his dreams come crashing down when she says that a request has arrived for him. Amagi is disappointed because it's not what he was hoping for. But then again, this request has come all the way from the Imperial Capitals Guild. Now, Amagi, Sharon, and Lori are taken by Etna to meet with the Guild Master of Torres, known as Kreutz. The rumors seem to have reached him as well, because he has only been hearing good things about our hero. Sharon and Lori also introduce themselves, although the demon girl proudly proclaims that she belongs to Amagi, as if she is his property. Kreutz takes a look at both the girls and comments that they are quite charming indeed. He notices Lori and realizes that she is the demon girl who had challenged the hero Rian to a duel the other day. He wants to confirm this, but Amagi becomes cautious, so he places his hand on Lori and asks Kreutz if he has anything to say on the matter. The old man calms him down by saying he's not trying to pick up a fight over here because it's even better to have a demon girl as your slave. Now he gets to the point, which is that the Imperial Capital has come to our hero with a request. It has something to do with mentorship, which surprises Amagi. Kreutz goes on to say that he had heard of how easily Lori was able to defeat Rion. But then our hero had turned the tables on her by beating her with ease. Lori herself admits to this, and even adds that it was rather disappointing for her. Of course, Amagi smacks her on the head and tells her not to say such things. Anyway, Kreutz says that these rumors were more than enough to make Rion train harder than ever at the Imperial capital. On top of that, he wants Amagi to be his mentor for the same, which is big news for him and the girls. Sharon can't believe that such a shady boy has been chosen to mentor the hero of this world. But Lori doesn't think that such an announcement is surprising at all. Now Amagi gets to thinking, and he comments that he has been thinking of going to the Imperial capital for quite some time. However, the request of being invited as the mentor to Rion makes him think twice. After all, when he had defeated the Demon Lord of Analgia, Amagi was pretty much turned into a tool by the royal factions to be used as and when they wanted. Of course, this was not something that he wanted to do in the first place, because he hated the idea of factional war. At the end of it all, his efforts went to waste because the royals simply sent him back to Earth, instead of rewarding him for all his hard work. This is exactly why he wants to stay away from the royal family, and anyone who is working for them. Having said that, no one in this land knows that he used to be a hero, so maybe he can work things around to his favor. Amagi is thinking way too much, and it bores Lori to the point where she falls asleep while standing. The most important thing to him, though, is that an invitation to the royal palace means a chance to get with all the cute maids who are working over there. Since these girls serve nobles of the royal palace, they will be of the highest quality, and Amagi already drifts into his shady dream world. Now, Amagi tells us that he was always referred to as the hero in the world that he was a part of before, but he was innocent and foolish back then. This time, he wants to be called Master, which is why he gets excited, even though his girls are not sure what's going on in his head at the moment. Anyway, Amagi makes his way to the Imperial capital, and the girls tag along with him. Sharon asks him if it's fine for her to come along with him, so he says that if she's not there, then he might as well just cancel the request right now. Our hero wants her to be with him for this mission, and it makes Sharon blush. Lori can see what's going on, so she decides to tease Sharon a bit by saying it's only natural for her to want to tag along with her man. Amagi does not to create any drama right now, so he asks the demon girl to calm down for now. Sharon also tells Lori that she should not say such things in public, but the demon girl awakens the actual demon within her and says that tonight may finally be the night that she gets violated by our hero. Sharon can't even digest the fact that she said such a thing, but Lori is very much looking forward to the session. She then looks at our hero and asks him why he keeps focusing on shady things in front of girls. He simply says that his life's sole purpose and dream is to have a harem, and he has come way too far along to give up on that dream. There's simply no turning back now, but he also has something else on his mind apart from violating his girls. He admits that the both of them are important to him, which is why he does not want to leave them alone at risk. However, it also serves as motivation for him to do shady things to his girls, so Sharon becomes startled yet again. Lori seems to be fine with such talk, but Sharon freezes for a bit, so Amagi has to check up on her to make sure she's fine. He asks her what's the matter, but she only moves awkwardly and says it's nothing at all. She can't seem to behave herself around our hero, so she decides to go ahead without the rest and makes a run for it. Lori does not understand why she's behaving this way, and even compares Sharon to a troll monster on heat. Amagi tells her not to say such things out loud, and then he worries that Sharon may not want to come with him to the Imperial capital the next day. He doesn't know what to do, but he supposes that it's fine for now. However, when he gets back to the room, our hero takes in a deep breath and lets out a massive scream. As he recovers from this shriek, Lori comes to check up on him, and she asks if all is well. Amagi seems cheered up now, and he says that he has completed his job. This is when we learn that he has done soundproofing to the room, so that no one can hear what's going on inside. It's rather impressive even to Lori, because she was unable to hear anything from the outside, and only asked Amagi if he was fine due to the panting she saw. The demon girl is a bit confused because she wants to know why Amagi has done such a thing at this time. Our hero confidently takes off his jacket and says it's rather obvious why he has soundproofed the room. It's because he is going to do unspeakable things to Lori and finally fulfill his life's dreams. Lori is shocked for a second, but then even her intrusive thoughts come into play, and she teases our hero for not doing anything to her before. Basically, even though he would do shady things to Lori, he never really went all the way, and she though that it was probably because he felt bad about cheating on Sharon. However, the real reason was that he was too shy to have other people listening to his shady acts from outside. Anyway, the demon girl is ready for action, and she lies down to prepare her master to violate her. Amagi is shown to be nervous, probably because he's never been able to do such a thing before. Lori asks him if there is any spell that needs to be cast right now, and our hero hilariously says love field. He then controls his nervousness and says that they should rather call it silent field, after which he goes in for the first move. However, right before they can get down and dirty, they hear knocking on the door and Amagi becomes nervous once again. After opening the door, he is shocked to see that it's Sharon who is waiting with a pillow and a night dress. She is also blushing, which could mean that she has the same intentions in her mind. However, Amagi believes that she might be here to take Lori back with her to her room, which would spoil everything he has done so far. The curvy babe is not saying a single word, so our hero asks her what she's doing here. Sharon squeezes her pillow, and her cheeks become even pinker as she says that she also wants to do unspeakable things with Amagi. He can't believe what he is hearing, because he would have never expected Sharon to say such a thing. She says that she too wants to be with him, but Amagi is not going to take any chances, so he makes sure to confirm what she means by this. Lori notices that Sharon has also come here, so she tells her to enter the room and have fun with her and our hero. Amagi is sweating like a waterfall as both the girls say that it is their first time and are looking forward to it. Both the girls get cozy with Amagi, and he wonders if this is a dream or real life. However, he can feel the heat coming from the girls, and he realizes that it is actually happening now. He holds on to both Sharon's and Amagi's hands, both of which feel very nice and soft. On top of that, Amagi states that he feels happy simply holding their hands, which is new for him. Anyway, now is not the time for him to shy away from being a real man, so he grabs Sharon by the waist and pulls her close to him. He caresses her cheek, and she decides to offer herself to him with a kiss. Even Lori joins in on the fun, and all three of them say that it was their first time doing even this. What follows is an intense session, and our hero makes sure that he will not stop at any point right now. With that, he throws away everyone's cloths and dives right into a night's feast. After the events of the night, we can see that all three members are sleeping in the same bed, even as the sun rises upon them. Amagi slowly wakes up and comments on how he's not able to breathe, but that's because he has two cute girls resting on his chest. Our hero takes a look at Lori and figures that she is the reason why he can't breathe properly. This is because the demon girl has to be very close to him, as the three of them are on one narrow bed. Now, Amagi notices that both Lori and Sharon are very much bare and open to some teasing, so he grabs their round bottoms and wakes them up with some playful squeezing. Sharon and Lori wake up, so Amagi wishes them a good morning and asks if they are feeling all right. They seem to be fine, but the bed is definitely not as comfortable as they would like. The girls get cozy with their lover boy once again, and Lori comments that he does not look tired, even though he had a wild, passionate night with them. Our hero simply comments that he can never get enough of a good thing, especially now that he has finally turned into a man from a boy. This leads to yet another wild session, which makes for a very good morning, but Amagi forgets to set up the silent field in the heat of the moment. Later, the inn owner congratulates our hero for doing what every man aspires to do, but he is then scolded by his wife, so the triple couple leaves the scene. They meet Edna one last time before leaving, and she says that it's a shame for her to say goodbye to them. She is looking forward to seeing the three of them again, sometime in the future, so Amagi's eyes light up. He holds Edna's hands and says that he will definitely come back for her soon, so he wants her to promise not to get a boyfriend till then. Of course, this attracts the rage of both Sharon and Lori, so our hero figures he shouldn't push too much. Before they leave, Kreutz gives Amagi a scroll with his name on it as a guarantor. This will make it easier for them to pass through the royal palace, and then they wish Amagi good luck on his journey. The girls also bid farewell, and then they join their master on his trip to the imperial palace. As they set off, Amagi still can't get something out of his head, which is the fact that there should not be a demon king in this world because he had already beaten him. However, since there is apparently another hero as well, something seems to be off about the timeline, which is why visiting the imperial palace may just provide Amagi with the answers he seeks. Taurus was the first place he arrived at in this new world, and he is thankful for that because he was able to meet Sharon and Lori over here. They may be very important to him, but he vows to come back to this town with even more girls added to his harem. Amagi starts having intrusive thoughts once again, as can be seen by the look on his face, but Lori doesn't even pay attention to it as she has passed out. Sharon, on the other hand, is not too pleased to see her lover boy like this, so she tries to get him to come back to his senses. Amagi snaps out of it, and then he makes his way to the imperial castle with his girls. Now we learn that the kingdom of Milis has its capital at Militia, which is the target destination for Amagi and the girls. Our hero reaches the capital city soon enough, and he is amazed to see how big it is. Even Sharon says that the city looks amazing and puts Taurus to shame, even though that is also impressive. Due to the location of the capital city, it is easy for people from all over the kingdom to come over here and engage in the local trade. Naturally, it is bigger and grander than any other city in the kingdom, and it has built a rich history over the years due to its population and trade. Now the triple couple reaches a church, and they learn that it's the headquarters of the Knights of the Chivalric Order. It also seems that the main office of the Harmonia Church is here, which is the one that authorizes the usage of the Holy Sword. Amagi and the girls gaze upon this building with wonder, but then our hero hears some twitching sounds right behind him. He looks around to see if there's someone nearby, but that's not the case. He lets it be for now, owing it to his imagination, and then he walks towards the palace with the girls. He tells them that during the audience with the king, he will be the one doing all the talking, so the girls can just sit back and watch without having to say anything. He also tells them that if anyone greets them or talks to them, then they should say the most neutral and bland thing possible. Lori and Sharon seem to be fine with it, and then the three of them enter the royal palace. They are greeted by a cute and curvy maid who leads them to their destination. Amagi can only gaze at her with excitement because he has finally found what he has been looking for in the palace. He greets the maid nicely, and then he enters a room with his girls. It's quite a massive space, and then they are greeted by a voice which happens to be that of the third princess of this kingdom. Her name is Latina Gracia, and she is amazingly pretty, so Amagi's intrusive thoughts get to work yet again. The princess greets him personally, and he can say that she most definitely looks like she is of royal blood. Of course, his eyes also fall on her twin peaks, which seem to be even better than those of Sharon. Amagi drifts off into dreamland where he sees himself having a good time with the maids as well as the princess, so it's clearly a fantasy he's living out in his head. He thinks of Latina as a sumptuous feast, and his mind goes to all kinds of places, even though he is standing right in front of the princess. He eventually manages to snap back to reality, and it's at this very moment that a night boy enters the room. It's none other than Leon, and with him is a night girl named Aura Roses, and both of them apologize for being late to the meeting. Latina doesn't seem to have a problem with their timing, so she asks them to sit down as well. However, Amagi seems to be distracted by Aura, because he did see her back when the fight with Lori had happened. Now, our hero is told by Latina that he is to train Leon for 3 months, and make him as strong as he possibly can. This is because there is a plan to recapture a fort which has been occupied by demons for a while. The princess is glad that Amagi was in Torres at the time of Leon's fight against Lori, and he says that it's his pleasure. Leon admits that he might have acted a bit too rashly with Amagi back when they first met, because our hero did not need his help at all. Of course, Amagi tries to console him, and it makes Latina laugh. In the middle of this, Lori falls asleep at the table, and it makes Amagi a bit nervous. He asks the princess to ignore this, and she seems to be fine with it. She also asks our hero to refer to her as Latina, so he decides to give her his first name as well. The princess says that it's almost as if they are friends now, and she adds that she has assigned a personal attendant to the triple couple to make their lives easier. Amagi wants to see who this attendant is, so Latina calls out to her as Mina. A maid girl enters the room, and Latina states that she has only been here a short while. But since she is roughly the same age as Amagi and his girls, she should be good to take care of them. Mina bows down to our hero and says that she looks forward to working with him. Amagi realizes that she is the same girl from before who was at the door, and judging from her tail and ears, she is actually a beast girl. Mina takes the triple couple to their room, which is in a facility that is usually assigned to visitors and guests. Our hero and his harem girls soak in the view as they check out the luxurious space that has been given to them. Mina adds that it used to be one of the royal villas, but is now reserved only for high-profile guests. Amagi and the girls can use it however they like, and our hero's eyes fall on the lavish bed first. Mina says that if they are to face any problems, then all they need to do is ring the installed bell, and she will be there at their service. Amagi only has one thing in mind which he is looking forward to, and Sharon can sense it from a mile away. Now, it's time to sort out the rooms. So Lori teases Sharon by asking her if she is going to sleep in the same room as Amagi. This makes her blush, and Amagi has tears of joy as he pats the demon girl for being so upfront about it. Now, as he explores the place, he notices a door leading to a basement. Amagi walks downstairs to see what's kept over here, but it gives the feeling of a dungeon. He then finds a door which is locked, so he decides to use a spell named Search that allows him to scan what is behind the door. To his shock and surprise, he finds all kinds of whips and collars that makes him wonder if it is some kind of torture chamber. However, on second thought, he figures that it might actually be a place to do shady things. This makes sense for the room to be locked, because the royal family can't have anyone going around talking about it. Amagi can't really make use of the room, but he wonders what it would be like to try some of the items he saw. Maybe he can't tie up Sharon and Lori, but he could use something light on them, like a collar. Maybe he can't tie up Sharon and Lori, but he could use something light on them, like a collar. Just thinking about it is more than enough to get him excited, but he has to calm down because he also has a mission to complete. Sharon and Lori have no idea why their lover boy is struggling so much, but they don't know the shady things going on inside his head right now. Later in the night, everyone sits down for dinner, and they enjoy a tasty meal prepared by Mina. We can see that all three of them are loving the food as their faces light up with joy upon each and every bite. This leads to a nice, soothing session at the pool as well, where Amagi and the girls relax with each other. Of course, our hero has eyes everywhere and can't wait to act on his intrusive thoughts, so Lori senses it and gets cozy with him. Amagi is not too sure about getting freaky inside the pool, so he asks the demon girl to wait, but she says that she wanted to feel his warm embrace. Basically, during their shady acts the previous night, Lori really liked how her master was hugging her, so she figured that it would feel just as good to hug him inside such a luxurious bath. She feels nice, but seeing this makes Sharon jealous, so she also holds on to her lover boy. Things get way too hot for him to handle, so he declares that he has reached his limit. However, the fun is not over yet, as Mina walks into the bath and asks the girls if they would like her to scrub their backs. However, she did not expect to see Amagi with them, and that too in the middle of some shady activity. Mina makes a cute cat sound and wonders what it is that she is seeing in front of her very eyes. It's a bit too much for her to handle, so she runs away from the scene after saying sorry to the triple couple. Lori comments that Mina is very noisy, but Amagi can only think about the cat sound that she just made. After they get out of the bath, our hero makes sure to have a word with Mina to explain the kind of relationship he has with Lori and Sharon. The maid girl simply bows down and says sorry multiple times, after which she admits that she has heard a lot about Amagi. He is known to be a man of considerable skills, so it should not come as a surprise to her that he is a beast in the bedroom as well. There is a saying that all great men have a fondness for pleasures of the flesh, so maybe this is what they mean by it. Now, our hero tells us that he has been controlling himself for the 2 whole days it took for him to get to the capital city from Taurus. However, he can finally let himself loose now, and he is glad that the bed is of a totally different quality. As a matter of fact, it feels just like a trampoline, so the 3 lovers have an eventful night with each other. Morning comes, and we can see that Amagi and his girls are still asleep. Later, we see some of the knights practicing with each other, and they notice our hero with his harem girls. These knights walk up to him and say that they have heard a lot about his fighting skills. However, since they have not really seen these skills in front of their eyes, they would like him to fight them first before moving on to Leon. Aura notices this, so she calls out the knights for being rude, especially since Amagi has been called here on a special invite from Princess Latina. Our hero doesn't mind this because the knights in front of him are all small fry anyway. He decides to pull out his wooden sword, and he challenges all the knights at the same time. These men charge at him with all they've got, but it takes less than a minute for Amagi to smack them down in an instant. Aura can't believe what she has just seen, but our hero says that he's not surprised by this result because these knights are really weak. The main problem is that the soldiers of this country fight in a very straightforward manner, so it becomes easy to predict their moves. Now it's time to get down to business, so Amagi tells Leon and his knights that he needs to test each of their abilities. In order to do this, he will need to host a round-robin tournament with 5 people. The rules will be that everyone will have to use a wooden sword, and magic is not allowed at all. The first round is between Amagi and Leon, so the others watch on as the men fight it out with their sword skills. Of course, our hero is the one with the upper hand so far, but Leon does not want to let him keep that advantage, so he goes in for a swipe attack. However, Amagi simply dodges it by ducking, and this leaves Leon baffled. That's all it takes for Amagi to follow through with his finisher move, and Leon is left helpless as his sword is knocked away in a flash. Everyone in attendance is amazed by this display, but Amagi has a few questions for Leon. First of all, he wants to know why the Night Boy gave up so easily against him. Leon seems somewhat confused by this question because he feels that it's pointless to continue fighting if he can't use magic. Our hero is not pleased by his answer, and he tells Leon that he needs to change his simplistic way of thinking. He decides to give him an example by handing over his sword and then kicking Leon in the stomach. The impact of this blow is quite strong, as can be seen by the look on Leon's face. The girls are totally shocked by this move, so Leon's assistant rushes to his aid, while Amagi explains that he was able to land a hit on the Night Boy without any magic or even a sword. He states that one should always come up with a way to distract his opponent or make him lose composure. There's always something that can be done. And then he picks up his own sword to show Leon that even a lost weapon can be recovered. The Night Boy is in pain, and our hero does feel bad for him, but he knows that he'll have to push him if he is to succeed in his mission. Amagi then turns to his girls and Aura as well, because they too need to keep this in mind for their own fighting styles. The key is to make the enemy think that you are planning something, even if you are faking it. The girls call him master and agree with his words, so Amagi's ego hits a new high. However, Leon's mage girl doesn't seem to like our hero very much, and he can sense the animosity from her in rather hilarious fashion. Now he tells Leon to go one more round with him, to which the night boy agrees, but Amagi maintains that he is very harsh on guys. Time passes by, and now we can see Amagi in disguise roaming around the church area. It turns out that he has actually been investigating the place for quite some time now. This is because the Harmonia Church seems to be a very influential religion in the country, and its followers are involved in a variety of things. Their primary slogan is that peace exists beyond races, so Amagi wants to know exactly what's going on with its followers. Another thing that's bothering him is the fact that Leon has been officially recognized as the country's hero due to this very same church. On top of that, the voice that Amagi had heard earlier only fuels his curiosity even further, so he wants to search for the truth. As he continues with his investigation, he notices that there are 3 underground levels, which has no explanation at all. Amagi is unable to find any answers right now, so he figures that he will try to investigate a bit further some other time. However, what he does not realize is that there is someone else spying on him as well. After he returns to the royal palace, Princess Latina summons him, so he wonders what's up. As he meets her, she says that she has asked everyone to leave the area, so that the 2 of them are alone with each other, since she wants to talk to our hero privately. His excitement already soars through the roof because he is imagining all kinds of shady things in his mind. After a brief pause, Latina says that it has to do with Leon, and Amagi's hopes are shattered. She asks about his progress, especially because Amagi has been training him for around a month. Our hero is disappointed that the princess wants to talk about this. But anyway, he states that Leon is a hard worker and is steadily increasing his strength. Now, Latina says that she knows how Amagi is trying to investigate the church on the down low. He can't believe what he is hearing. But the princess confirms it by saying that she has been keeping an eye on him this whole time. She states that Amagi had registered Mild Village as his place of origin at the guild, but there is no record of him at that place, so our hero is in a rather tight spot. Now that he has been found out, he tries to find a way to explain himself. Luckily for him, the princess does not want to make a scene out of this, as she needs a favor from him. Basically, Latina wants our hero to look into Leon's connection to the church, which comes as a surprise to him. He wants to confirm if Leon was indeed recognized by the church to hold the holy sword, and the princess says yes. However, she has no idea about where he was or what he was doing before the church suddenly made him a hero. In that sense, Leon and Amagi are quite similar, so he wonders if this church hero was also summoned from another world, just like him. It's a bit odd, because the way Leon speaks and behaves is not like he's from Earth. But then Latina also asks Amagi what exactly the holy sword is supposed to be. Even though she is from the royal family, it appears as if neither Latina or her father knew anything about the church having such an item in their hands. This is after searching through countless books and studying myths from each and every library in the country, so Latina is really clueless in this regard. More than anything else, the holy sword and the hero who wields it could be considered as treasures that were hidden from the royal family. With that in mind, it doesn't make sense for the church to entrust Leon to her so easily. At first, Amagi asks if it's just a case of the church trusting in the royal family's skills, but Latina does not believe that at all. It doesn't matter if the relations between both parties is good, because the church would not hand over something so valuable with this much ease. All of this is fine, but Amagi does not get why the princess is trusting him in all this. She gets a bit too close for comfort with him, so he tries to change the subject by saying he also hid his identity from her, so there is no reason for Latina to trust him either. She says that she does not completely trust him yet either, but she would like to give him a chance. Latina then says that she was born with the ability to see the thoughts of those around her. Amagi is a bit confused by this, so she explains that she has a curse which allows her to read thoughts, but only faintly. It does not work very well unless she is alone with a person and is focusing on him. This explains why she is getting so close to our hero, and also why she wanted to be alone with him in the first place. Now, the princess wants to know what Amagi has been doing at the church, so our hero evaluates the pros and cons of doing so. He concludes that Latina is very cute and curvy, so it would not hurt him to talk about it. Our hero talks about the 3 underground levels, and this makes Latina interested. She asks Amagi if he can carry out this investigation as part of his mission, but he knows that he can't really say no to her. The princess then mentions a reward for this task, and that's when our hero gets interested. Amagi is hoping for a lot of money because it's a direct request from the princess of this kingdom. But to his surprise, she offers herself as the reward. Amagi is a bit speechless to say the least, so Latina says that she understands it might sound a bit shady. She goes on to say that she might not have shown it, but she does appreciate all the hard work that Amagi has been putting into all of his tasks. On top of that, his abilities are the best of the lot, and he does not seem to be involved in the church either. Thus, she feels that it would be great if she could have him on her side. Now, she asks him again if he wants to take this up, and he says yes, but also mentions that she does not need to sell her body to him like this. After all, he would have agreed, even if she simply asked him to pay some extra cash. Latina smirks upon hearing this and says that they can set aside the reward for now. If he insists, then she can arrange for something else as well, and she shows it by placing our hero's face very close to her twin peaks. Now the princess closes in on Amagi for what looks like a kiss, so he prepares himself for some royal treatment. Her lips look really soft, so he can't wait to see what they might feel like. But to his surprise, Latina simply kisses him on the forehead. Amagi doesn't know what just happened to him, so the princess tells him that this is just the advance payment from her side. If he's interested in this deal, then he can arrange for another meeting with Latina by telling Mina about it. The princess makes it known that she doesn't make offers like this to everyone, so Amagi is in his own dream world now. Will our hero eventually violate Princess Latina as well? What do Sharon and Lori have to say to that? Like, share, and subscribe to find out in the next video. Hit the bell icon to get notified when I upload part 3. See you soon.